I'm going to open this, call this public meeting to order today on June 11th, 2026 at 5 o'clock. After I say a few words, I will ask Mr. Mercer to come up and explain this better to y'all than I can. But I know probably a lot of you on social media, you have probably read where I'm for it, blah, 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 this and that. I have never said anything of being for a data center. I'm 100% against it. I've lived here all my life. I want my kids to grow up here, and I'm sure y'all the same way. So all that said and done, I'm going to ask Mr. Mercer to come over and hope that he can explain this. We are strengthening the ordinance that we already had, so I hope it'll be 99.9% where one could not want to come to Union County. So thank you all for coming.
All right, now listen, we're in a room that is going to reverberate. So if everyone could please not whisper to each other, not talk to each other, because it carries. And then I have to yell, and people can't hear. You have people that are partially deaf that had to have special accommodations. So if we could, please keep the cross chatter down, please keep the whispering down, and that way everybody can hear and the camera can pick everything up. This is a public hearing, so we've asked people who wanted to speak to sign up, okay? I'm told that the highlighted ones want to speak, and so I'll call them after I read off the ordinances. So if you've got a statement or a question, come up. We are going to limit it to 3 minutes per person, okay? If I did not call your name, but you signed up at the end and you want a clarifying question, just come on up, okay? Come on up, as long as you put your name on this list, come on up and we'll get you here. For everybody to hear your question.
Who are you? What's your name?
I'm William Mercer, I'm the county attorney. Okay. For everyone that comes up for a question, you might as well just walk up here, or maybe I can drag the cord to you, and we'll get you a microphone so everyone can hear your question or your statement. Everybody on board so far? All right. We're actually here for 2 ordinances. So I will start with the one, just show of hands. Is anyone here wanting to talk about the cell tower changes? All right, we got a couple people. So, cell tower, yeah, we're here for 2 things. We're here for the cell tower changes and the digital information hub ordinance changes, okay? Can we also silence all cell phones? So that way we don't have those going off. All right, so the people who are here for the cell tower changes, did you get a copy of the changes? Okay. There are only a few changes. We really wanted to shore up what a preferred location was and an unpreferred location was. There seemed to be some inconsistencies when this first went in that were kind of getting taken advantage of, so we took that out. A couple of hands I saw. Do you have any questions on it? Come on up.
My name is David Womack. Is it echoing? Okay.
It's going to echo in here.
All right, cool. I refer to you Mr. Mercer, Attorney Mercer? Or what?
Whatever you want.
Okay, cool. So, been to a lot of the local meetings.
Hold it to your mouth, please.
Better? I don't want too much. Okay? So, do we have a site in mind?
There's not a site right now. The only one I know of is by the trucking company, and even by the old ordinance, they would still have to ask for a variance. But there's no other, cell towers go up up quite a bit, but usually they go up in places where there's not enough cell towers, and so they fit our ordinance. But other than the one near the trucking company in town, I know there was some interest about putting one up there. Other than that, I don't know of any others.
So 5 miles, most of them are in town, 5 miles north. There's a tower off of 129 to the east of 129, probably south of Ivy Log. Is that 5 miles between the two that you could put another one, or?
So unless it's a preferred location as stated in the ordinance, and there are qualifications for that, then each tower needs to be 5 miles apart. Well, there's an application process, and if somebody thinks they should have a preferred location, they have to show the county why it would be preferred, and it has to meet all the specifications for it's approved.
Once the location is proposed, will the public get an opportunity to vote, or we just get?
No, sir.
No, it's done.
In any county, the public doesn't vote on whether a permit is given. Your elected officials do. So you can always have a say if there's a public hearing, and you can always voice your opinion at the commissioner's office or whatever public meeting there is. But no, you technically don't get a vote. Anyone else on the cell tower? Yes, come on up.
I haven't had a chance to read that ordinance, but how far from residents can a cell tower be installed according to this ordinance?
I believe it's 1,000 feet from a property. I mean, some are pretty close. Some right now are pretty close.
Can we change that? Change that to be farther from residents?
What would your suggestion be?
100 miles?
I'll write it down. All right, again, hey everybody, let's keep the crosstalk down because we gotta hear. Anybody else on the cell tower before I close that out? Anybody else on the cell tower?
What about the river? You gonna take it close to a river? That's fire and water or what?
A cell tower by a river?
Oh, cell tower. I thought you were talking about the.
So again, anybody else want to comment or have a question about the cell phone tower ordinance before we close that out and move on to the data mine? Yes, ma'am, come on up. This is Loma.
I have one question. Do we know the cause and effect of a cell? Do we know the cause and effect of a cell tower near homes within a mile? Would that help people understand if a cell tower was there close to them, what cause and effects that they have, and then how you come across or come to make up the amendments for cell towers?
Cell towers by state and federal government are considered a public need. Most people don't have rotary phones anymore. I don't even have one in my home anymore. Everyone uses cell phones. Up here in the mountains, we have extremely bad reception, but I'm sure there has been numerous studies done on ill effects of living under a cell tower. I'm not aware of any, and I'm sure if there was real ill effects of that, lawyers like me would make a killing off of it. So
my thing was if people understood the study, then they would understand how you come with your ordinance, how far they should be from a person living in a home.
Well, if someone agrees to put it on their property, they can put it right beside their house if they wanted it. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing that says you can't be this far from a tower. I wouldn't put your house right under a tower, because if it falls, it's gonna hurt your house, but nothing says that you can't live right under it. So,
I think more people understood the consequences of something near or far, then they would be more relaxed.
correct. All right, last call for cell tower ordinance.
So what's the number of the active cell towers in Union County now, and what is our limit?
I'm not aware of how many active, Ms. Mahan, do we know how many active cell towers we have? Ms. Nora? Our representative from the building department is saying about 10 to 12. And no, there's no upper limit on how many there can be. What would your suggestion of the limit be?
Max right now.
Max right now? What about people like on Blood Mountain who have no reception?
It'll work. These things generate huge amounts of power.
Not cell phone. Okay.
Okay,
I'll write your suggestion. Okay. The suggestion is to put a max for cell towers at what we have now, so no more cell towers. So I'm gonna write her suggestion down. What was your name again, ma'am?
Jane Hayden.
Ms. Hayden. Ms. Hayden, I'm gonna write it down. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Try that.
I'm wondering if there's any ordinance or anything that you could do to maybe they disguise the cell towers when they don't look so.
Well, that is part of our ordinance. That is part of the preferred towers to put in. It's not an absolute requirement, but there are benefits to putting one like that in Union County.
You might have to repeat these questions, we can't hear it.
She asked if there was a way to disguise cell towers, and there's already, some of them kind of look like trees they put up. They look like weird trees that they put up, and there's already provisions for that in our ordinance. Tony?
Concerning cell towers, as the county grows and more people have cell phones, you're going to need to expand the number of towers and the kind of antennas on them to handle the additional cell phones. As you said, most people now use cell phones instead of the landline. So I would be opposed to putting a limit on the number of towers, but I would also say we need to minimize the number of towers that are here in the county. Because if you add another, let's just say we have 5,000 more residents, 5,000 more cell phones are going to need more towers. That's just the way it is. So I would agree with the fact that we want to limit towers, but we need to be able to limit them in a proper way that we have just enough to handle the transmission reception needs, and not any more than that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You can pass the microphone to everybody can hear you. Come on up.
My question is regarding to the antennas. Is there a maximum radiated power output on the antenna system or the antenna array on the cell towers? And if not, why not do some type of study that would limit the amount of radiated power output that can be harmful to the environment, not only the people, but also the animals?
I don't know if we have, Ms. Combs, do we have something that measures the radiated output on cell towers? Well, I will add that suggestion. Anyone else on cell towers? Come on up, man. Hey, if you have a question on cell towers, because we didn't actually think a lot of people want to talk about cell towers, come on and start lining up. Why don't y'all just start coming on down and lining up, and that way we don't have to wait. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to understand, why did we used to have to meet all 4 requirements, and now it's just if we meet any, so it would just be one of the requirements has to be met?
No, it shouldn't. Where are you at? So, okay. This should say on our last draft, we might have pulled the wrong one, it should say they have to meet 2. Oh, y'all have to sign it. Well, it should be under here that they have to meet 2. So unless one of them. I thought we had it at 2. Looks like we went back to 1, probably after public comment on the last one. Would you like to change it to more? What would your suggestion be?
All 4.
All 4. All right, come on.
Just a quick suggestion that we have, so there are 3 major carriers, each of them has sub-carriers underneath it. Not all the towers currently up support all the carriers. We could get by with less new towers if they would be forced to support all the carriers. So everybody could get the same coverage benefit from each tower. That should minimize the need. We will need more towers, but that should minimize it.
I will write that down. All right, since I see no one else lined up for cell towers, we are going to close that out. We will move on to data mining. Now, before we start, first of all, I have been a county attorney for about 10 years. This is the most actual public input on an ordinance I've ever seen. And I have actually worked on all of them. So, up until today, whatever suggestions came in today, I'm sorry, I did not look at, I did not research. But people from the Commissioner's Office and myself looked at every single submission, tried to research everything that was suggested. And my goal was to see, could we do it legally or not? And then, of course, the Commissioner ultimately decided what went in and what went out, okay? At this public hearing, this is for, if you say you don't like something, feel free to make a suggestion of what you think it would be better as, okay? This is for public comment. If you think you have something that you want to say, hey, I think you should add this or subtract that. This is really what it's about, okay? So all ranges of opinions can be had. Let's all keep our sanity here and all kind of keep quiet. It doesn't matter if someone disagrees with you. This is a forum for disagreement, okay? Now, I think this ordinance jumped 5 pages since we originally had it already. You may see your suggestion or a variation of your suggestion already in here, and I'm going to take the time to read this whole thing out, okay? Now, let me tell you what we can't do as a county, so that way we don't have a bunch of questions of, we want to do this, but it's not necessarily legally possible, okay? There's a lot of suggestions of regulate how much power a power company can sell a data center. Regulate how much water a water company can sell a data center. The state regulates utilities, okay? State of Georgia regulates utilities, not each county. The only way a county can regulate power rates, water rates, and the usage requirements for them, as suggested, would be for the county to actually own the utility company. Now, some huge counties do. Union County does not own an electric company. So we can't tell Blue Ridge EMC, you can't sell this person X amount of wattage. That's legally not allowed for us to do, okay? So those kind of suggestions, we were not able to implement. It's not legally allowed for us. We could not tell the multiple water companies here, they're all private, that you can only sell X amount of gallons to a particular business. That is up for the state to do. We're not allowed to do that. If we own the water company, we can say, hey, we're not going to provide water to this company for whatever reason, or we're going to limit that for whatever reason, but we don't. All right, so I hope everybody understands that we cannot regulate a utility business that we don't own. Now, you will see regulations for power and water in here, but you need to listen closely to what's written and read on your paper. We are not regulating what they can sell, who they can sell to, because we don't own them, okay? Everybody understand that part? You might not agree with it, but does everybody understand? All right. There's many suggestions that said just say no. Like absolutely none. Now, here's the legal problem. There was a lot of suggestions that said just say no data centers. Okay? Well, all right. Now, here's the problem with that. With the state government and the federal government wanting them to come in, things they're already doing for data centers that are going into other places, if Union County just says no data centers of no kind, and a company sues Union County to say you cannot say that we cannot put this business in your county, and we lose, then everyone that buys land that wants to put a data center of such in Union County can do so without a single bit of regulation. So the consequences for just saying no and losing in court are extremely high. Extremely high. So that means, I'm going to repeat it, if we say no and get sued by a big corporation who wants to put it here, and the Supreme Court of Georgia, Supreme Court of the United States, whoever, however far it goes, says you cannot tell this legitimate business they cannot have something, no crosstalk, please. If we're going to keep interrupting and cross-talking, you will be asked to leave because everybody wants to hear. If they sue and win, that means they have zero regulation and they can do whatever they want, put it wherever they want, and bother everyone here that doesn't want it here, okay? You may not agree with that, but Union County is not willing to take that risk, okay? So, this is our second draft, or second revision of a data mining ordinance. We actually put one in place in 2022 when there were cyber mines that were coming in in North Carolina. We made sure we put this in based off of all the problems that were happening there and the people's complaints there to make this rigid enough where what we knew about them then would be very hard, if almost impossible, to replicate here. Okay? Since then, we have not had a single inquiry about that I know of. Mr. Collins, do you know of any inquiries? We have not had a single inquiry of some sort of data center wanting to come to Union County. Okay? Not one. But this is a big issue. A lot of people are upset about it. This is the biggest public meeting I've ever seen, which is great. And so we took all of your suggestions seriously, and we tried to make a comprehensive ordinance. All right? So I'm going to read that now. The purpose of this article is to establish regulations relating to digital infrastructure hubs and related systems, and to establish standards to protect the public health, safety, welfare, and while avoiding unintended impacts on infrastructure and natural resources and adjacent uses. By enacting this article, it is the intent of the county government to regulate the development of digital infrastructure hubs and related systems to the extent possible, in areas where any potential adverse effects on the community would be minimized. Section 44.151 definitions. Artificial intelligence data center means a specialized data center where AI models learn from massive data sets and buildings with equipment energized to process computationally intensive AI workloads, including but not limited to AI training centers, AI inference facilities, high-performance computing facilities, hyperscale data centers, cloud computing campuses, and any server-based facility whose primary function is large-scale computational processing. Cloud computing means the on-demand delivery of digital resources over the internet to include digital storage and infrastructure. Code enforcement officer means any person contracted with or employed by a state, county, or municipality who has enforcement authority for health, safety, welfare requirements, and is authorized to issue citations and file formal complaints regarding the same. Cryptocurrency means a digital currency which encryption techniques are used to regulate and generate the generation of units of currency to verify the transfer of funds while operating independently of a central bank. Commercial cryptocurrency mining means the commercial process by which cryptocurrency transactions are verified and added to the public ledger known as the blockchain, and also the means through which new units of cryptocurrencies are released through the use of digital infrastructure hubs. Any equipment requiring a high-density load service for the purposes of operating digital infrastructure hub will constitute a commercial cryptocurrency mining operation. Cryptocurrency digital infrastructure hub means 3 or more interconnected computers housed together in a single facility whose primary function is to perform cryptocurrency mining or associated data processing. Data mining means the commercial process by which volumes of data are analyzed to find patterns, discover trends, and gain insight on how the data can be used will constitute a commercial data mining operation. Data mining center means leased or owned boundaries of floor space devoted to the operating of data processing equipment for commercial data mining, excludes spaces for data centers not otherwise engaged in commercial data mining, commercial offices, storage, shipping and receiving, warehousing, or any other space that is not electronic processing. Digital Infrastructure Hub, DHI, and this is the catch-all term for everything that will be repeated. So I'm just going to say DHI, and this is what it is, all right? DHI means an interconnected foundation of technologies that store, move, process, and secure data to include data centers, server farms, commercial cyber mining centers, cloud computing facilities, internet exchange points, artificial intelligence data centers, power and cooling systems supporting digital operations, and any other associated large-scale supporting system, hardware, and networks. Edge computing means computing process that occurs near its source rather than in a centralized cloud or data center requiring less resources to run and maintain, to include such things as hospital monitoring, telecom, 5G services, manufacturing, and public safety. High-density load service means any individual service at or above 600 amps in which the energy use intensity, EUI, is calculated as greater than 250 kilowatt feet squared per year in total for all operating square footage. Internet exchange point means any point where internet networks come together to peer or exchange traffic between different networks. Server farm means a collection of servers that are connected in some way to support some type of distributed shared workload, to include artificial intelligence data centers, crypto mining, data mining, and cloud computing services, or any other distributed computing infrastructure, whether leased or owned, to exclude edge computing by established local businesses or infrastructure. SOC2 means a voluntary compliance standard for service organizations developed by the American Institute of CPAs, AICPA, which specifies how organizations should manage customer data. The standard is based on the following trust services criteria: security, availability, process integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. Section 44-152, applicability. This article shall apply to all digital. Yes. Yes.
Everybody here pretty much read.
I understand. That's part of a public hearing.
There's one clause in here about land use.
One other state, 500 acres to 15.
Ma'am and sir, please have a seat. Let me get through this. This is what we have to do, and then, well, this is what we're doing. We're reading the whole thing.
Sounds like the motion to not read this.
We all have a copy.
Do you want me to not read this?
I think everybody knows how to read
All right, y'all, if we can come back down, I'll try to read as fast as I can, okay? This article shall apply to all digital infrastructure hub operations and or related building structures installed, constructed, and modified after the effective date of this article. All digital infrastructure hub operations shall be designed, erected, and installed following all applicable local, state, and federal codes, regulations, and standards. Section 144-153. All proposed digital infrastructure hub operations shall be permitted by the Union County Building Department prior to starting to build. Before the permit can be finalized, applicants must comply with the following requirements. Number one, multiple applications under common ownership, option control, affiliated ownership, or coordinated development planning shall be aggregated and reviewed as a single project. Number two, a public hearing must be had prior to the permit being issued. Number three, every property that touches the property line of the proposed site, the owners of that property must agree in writing that they do not mind a DIH installed next to their property. Every resident within a 3-mile radius must be notified in writing of the public hearing on the proposed site at least 14 days prior to the public hearing. And number 5, prior to the public hearing, the proposed site must complete an environmental impact evaluation, a cultural heritage impact evaluation, a Native American-led impact evaluation, and these evaluations will be provided to the Union County Building Department no later than 10 days before the public hearing, and the findings will be open to public records as well as presented at the public hearing. B, all principal accessory structures used for digital infrastructure hubs, or DIHs, shall be arranged, designed, and constructed to be harmonious and compatible with the site, with the surrounding properties. All structures, including but not limited to permanent, prefabricated, pre-engineered, or modular structures that are installed, the following standards are required. All properties must have 500 acres of continuous acreage, and the building which houses the DIH must be 0.5 miles from the nearest residential property line. Number 2, all structures shall have concrete foundations. Number 3, all exterior facades shall have muted earth tone colors and shall not be defective, decayed, or corroded. Buildings shall utilize natural materials, varied roofs, articulated facades, and muted earth tone color palettes consistent with Union County's mountain and rural character. Blank industrial facades exceeding 100 feet shall be prohibited. Number 4, if intermodal shipping containers are utilized, such installations shall comply with the requirements of the most recent edition of Industrialized Building Rules and Bulletins of the Georgia Department of Community Affairs and OCGA Title 8, Chapter 2, Article 2, Part 1. Number 5, a continuous, undisturbed, natural vegetative buffer of not less than 200 feet shall be preserved along all exterior property boundaries adjoining residential, agricultural, conservational, and scenic corridor districts. Number 6, no structure or accessory infrastructure shall exceed 30 feet in height. Rooftop mechanical equipment shall not exceed above the principal roof line. Number 7, impervious coverage shall not exceed 20% of the total site acreage. Number 8, all lighting shall be fully shielded, directed downward, and automatically dimmed during non-operational nighttime hours. Section C, the operator shall not cause, allow, or permit the operation of any source of sound which creates at an occupied residential building or defined sensitive receiver as may exist at the time of the issuance of the certificate of completion or occupancy, a sound level that exceeds a daytime continuous sound level of 50 dBA or a nighttime continuous sound level of 45 dBA. All official noise measurements must be taken with all on-site generators running and must be done annually. The operator shall not cause, allow, or permit the operation of any source of sound or vibration which creates a pure tone where the 1/3 octave band sound pressure level in the band of interest exceeds the arrhythmic average of the sound pressure levels for the 2 adjacent 1/3 octave bands by the corresponding decibel dB flat values as follows: 5 decibels for center frequencies of 500 hertz or above, 8 decibels for center frequencies between including 160 and 400 hertz, and 15 decibels for center frequencies less than or equal to 125 hertz, and a pure tone shall be deemed present by measurement, and all official noise measurements must be taken with all on-site generators running and must be done annually. For permitting and compliance purposes, measurements shall be performed using a calibrated Type 1 sound level meter configured to log and record 1/3 octave flat-weighted equivalent sound pressure levels, and A-weighted equivalent level LEQ, slow time weighting with a 15-minute averaging interval. Measurements shall be made proximate to, but not closer than 100 feet from an adjacent property line. Transient background sounds must be excluded from the measurement prior to post-processing or other means. Compliance is indicated if the noise solely generated by the operator can be disseminated from the equivalent continuous background sound pressure level, or if the noise levels solely generated by the operator otherwise conform to the requirements of subsections D and E. Section F, prior to the issuance of a certificate of completion or occupancy, a report with noise level test results shall be submitted for approval by the applicant from a noise control engineering professional for the purpose of demonstrating compliance. The expense for testing and reporting of results in written format to the county will be the responsibility of the applicant. All official noise measurements must be taken with an on-site generators running and must be done annually. A noise reduction barrier or device may be required at the discretion of the county when it is conclusive that noise level tests do not conform to subsections D and E. If this is required of the applicant or facility, the expense of the compliance shall be the applicant's and not the county's. H, Terminology as used herein related to acoustic levels and measurements follow American National Standards S12.9, quantities and procedures for description and measurement of environmental sound, Part 1, basic quantities and definitions, and ANSI S12.9, quantities and procedures for description and measurement of environmental sound, Part 3, short-term measurements with an observer present. I. The equipment used in any digital infrastructure hub operation shall be housed in a metered, either individually or collectively in primary metered services, electronically grounded and pre-engineered metal encased structure with a fire rating designated to resist an internal electrical fire for at least 30 minutes. The containment space shall contain baffles that will automatically close in the event of fire independent of possible electric failure, system failure. J. Commercial digital infrastructure hubs will undergo SOC2 auditing resulting in a successful certification. The data center will also maintain the SOC2 certification for the duration of operation. Validation of certification will be provided to the county within 13 months of beginning operation and annually thereafter. Any use or activity producing air, dust, smoke, glare, exhaust, heat, or humidity in any form shall be carried on in such a manner that it is not measurable or perceptible at or beyond the property line. Any use of ISO shipping containers or similar housing, whether horizontally combined or independent of other structures, for the commercial digital infrastructure hub operation shall not be vertically combined to exceed a greater height of 9 feet. M. Each commercial digital infrastructure hub operation shall provide a 24-hour emergency contact, single, visible, and at the access signage, emergency contact signage visible at the access entrance. Signs shall include company name, if applicable, owner, representative name, telephone number, and corresponding local power company and telephone number. N. Y'all please keep the chatter down so we can get through it. N. A digital infrastructure hub shall abide by the following in regarding the power usage. The DIA shall provide a written document that specifies the maximum power requested to operate on a day-to-day basis, how the utility company plans to deliver the power to the facility, including but not limited to plans for routing, overhead or underground installations, substations, etc. The estimated connected load in megawatts to the facility, any substation or distributing upgrades that are required for servicing the facility, and who bears the cost of such. The facility or the ratepayers must provide any inquiries or agreements the proposed facility has made with TVA and the responses given, and must include any inquiry or interruptible rate option contract and copy of such if executed, and must include a copy of any large load inquiry made with the local power supply company. A. The requirements of subsection 144-153N1 shall be submitted prior to any public hearing, no less than 10 days prior to the public hearing. Failing to provide this information will cause the permit process to halt or be canceled. B. The requirements of subsection 144-153N1 shall also be submitted annually. Number 2. For energy storage, any facility must use long-duration storage systems with 10 hours of storage minimum. Lithium-ion batteries are not allowed to be used for energy storage. Number 3. The facility must use Tier 4 backup generators or Tier 2 generators with selective catalytic conversion attached. If using natural gas turbines, the facility must use SCR using ammonia as the catalyst, and there shall be no PM2.5 or CO2 emissions coming from the generators. Section O. The DIA shall abide by the following in regards to water usage. 1. The facility will specify in writing an estimate of how much water the facility will use. Sir, can I get through this, please?
I've just got something to say about all this, and I'm going to say it right now.
Well, you need to wait your turn,
If you've
sir.
got questions to answer, put them in the paper. We'll be happy to read what you have to say about it. And then I only have two other questions
Sir.
I have to ask. Is Union County government in favor of all of this?
At the beginning, sir, we told you no.
I'm sure you did, but I don't hear well. I'm getting old and tired.
Would you like to sit down right here so you can hear better?
I'm sorry.
Would you like to sit down right here so you can hear better?
No, I just like this thing to shut down because you're just answering questions off a piece of paper. If you want to
No,
open
no,
this
sir,
up-
I'm not answering questions off a piece of paper. I'm reading the actual ordinance that's proposed.
Does
And then
anybody want this
afterwards,
ordinance
it doesn't
read?
matter. We need to read it, we need to read it, and once we're finished, then everyone can have their suggestions on what they would like changed, what they would like taken out, what they would like put in. If you cannot hear well, would you like to sit here, sir?
No, I'd like this to stop because I don't think anybody cares about what you're saying right here.
Or, I think a lot of people.
If I'm wrong, tell me.
Listen, he doesn't hear well. Again, it's not. Sir, if you can't hear well, would you like to sit here? Okay, would you like to sit here so you can hear better? Okay. All right, if you can quiet down, let me finish up. We're on page 6 of 9. We're on page 6 of 9. We're almost done. Okay? All right. The DIH shall abide by the following in regards to water usage. Number 1, the facility will specify in writing an estimate of how much water the facility will use annually, broken down by anticipated monthly use for each month. This will be provided during the permit process and on an annual basis. The facility will specify in writing they will use air cooling, open loop cooling, or closed loop cooling, closed loop water cooling, or a specified outlay of the cooling system that will be installed. This will be provided during the permit process and on an annual basis. The facility will provide in writing the water usage effectiveness, WEU, target during the permit process and on an annual basis. The facility will provide in writing whether they will use potable water or reclaimed water or both, and the estimated percentage of both during the permit process and on an annual basis. No facility shall dump wastewater on site and must take wastewater to a wastewater treatment facility and must provide in writing whether the water treatment facility can adequately process the wastewater. This requirement is during the permit process and on an annual basis. The requirements of subsections 144, 153.0, 1 through 5 shall be submitted prior to any public hearing, no less than 10 days prior to the public hearing. Failing to provide this information will cause the permit process to halt or be canceled. Number 6, the facility must provide fire suppression systems that eliminate PFAS contamination risk entirely, that include but are not limited to FM200, NOVEC, or inert gas systems. Section P, the DIH shall abide by the following in regards to construction traffic. The facility must provide a construction traffic management plan. Number 2, the facility must identify haul routes and provide the road weight restrictions for the routes. Number 3, the facility must provide a road impact assessment. Number 4, the facility must provide a coordination plan with GOT if any state GDOT if any state routes are identified as haul routes. The requirements of subsections 144, 153, P 1 through 4 shall be submitted prior to any public hearing, no less than 10 days prior to that public hearing. Failing to provide this information will cause the permit process to halt or be canceled. Number 5, the facility will post a bond to cover any damage to county roads so that damage is remediated by the facility and not the taxpayers of Union County. The amount of the bond will be determined by the construction management traffic plan as identified and the identified haul routes. Section Q, the facility will be required to post a decommissioning and remediation bond in the event the site is abandoned, goes through bankruptcy, property is sold in a tax sale, or any unforeseen event. The size of the bond will ensure that there's enough money to dispose of any hazardous materials such as battery banks, refrigerants, and heavy metals without local environmental contamination. This requirement by the company wanting to place a site in Union County so that the financial burden of the demolition and cleanup does not fall on the local taxpayers. Section R, air-to-ground transmission vibrations. Ground-to-air vibration generated on the facility grounds or adjacent non-residential properties must comply with Frequency, peak particle velocity, 40 hertz at 3/4 per second, 40 hertz squared per second, measured at the property line, adjacent to and at least 0.5 miles from residential properties. Peak particle velocity, 2.5 per second, or 115 dBl, that's decibel peak linear, measured outside at ground level at closest residential structure. It is the intent of this section to regulate ground and air vibration in such a manner as to prohibit structural damage to adjacent uses. All requirements of section 44-153 must be maintained after the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. Any violation of such will be handled in accordance with 144-155. The permit fee will be set via resolution by the Union County Commissioner's Office. Let me pause here because the commissioners already, can I tell them what you want to do with the resolution? A resolution will come that sets a permit fee. The resolution will be 25% of the total production cost to make the facility operational. So if it costs them $1 billion, their permit fee will be $250 million. Okay? Section 144, application and approval. No digital infrastructure hub operation may be developed without a site plan review and verification by the County Building Development Department that all requirements of this article are met. The permit fee also will be set by resolution at the Union County Commissioner's Office. 155, or section 144, 155 violations. Any section of this article that is not followed constitutes a violation. Each incident is a separate violation, such that multiple violations may occur on the same date and subsequent dates. Each day a violation occurs, it creates a new violation. The code enforcement officer has the discretion to issue a warning or a citation on a case-by-case basis. Any violation shall have a maximum punishment not to exceed $1,000 or imprisonment for 60 days or both. Any violation of this ordinance will be subject to the suspension or revocation of the permit. Now, before we read the last one, we had a lot of comments on every violation should be $50 million or $50,000. While I don't disagree, the state legislature sets what a county in their ordinance can set as a max fine for jail and fines. And the state of Georgia set that as a $1,000 maximum fine and 60 days in jail or both. Okay? So we are constrained by the state legislature on how much fine and jail time can be had for each violation. Now finally, section 144, 156, effectiveness, interpretation, and separability. This article shall become effective immediately upon its adoption. All ordinance or parts of ordinances in conflict wherein are replaced. Any part of this article that conflicts with another applicable federal, state, or local regulation, the more restrictive regulation shall control. And if any section, clause, portion, provision of this article is found unconstitutional, such invalidity shall not affect the other portions of this article. All right. Now, okay, I will start calling the names that signed up to speak and come up. I'll hand you the mic. You make a statement, you can ask questions. I'll try to answer the question the best I can. If I can't answer it, maybe the commissioner can answer it, maybe the building department can answer it, maybe someone from the commissioner's office can answer it, okay? Remember, we need to keep crosstalk down. We need to keep whispering down. It's very hard to hear other people. I'm a loudmouth. I have a loud voice. It's not hard to hear me. It is hard to hear other people. So let's give everyone the respect they deserve, whether you agree with them or not. So, we have, I believe this is Carrie Farmer, and she is a Union County resident. Ms. Farmer? Now, Ms. Farmer, when you start, I'm going to hand you this one because this works good. When you start, you'll have 3 minutes, okay? It's okay, I'll start.
So my first question is, I don't think that, well, comment and question. I don't think that we can make a good representation for ourselves unless we have more time. And I think that, can we put the moratorium back in place for 120 days? I said, can we put the moratorium back in place for 120 days so we have more time to focus on this and get it right? There's too many people with too many opinions. We're never going to get it 100%, but I think that we're missing a lot in what is in what we have now. And I think that we're not going to be able to stop these people from coming in. They have lots of money. I don't think that the 500 acres is going to be a stopping point. How many farmers do you have out there that have 500 continuous acres? And they pass away, their kids don't want to continue farming, and somebody's throwing $1 billion at them, they're going to sell that property. So I think that we need to be, instead of telling them no, we need to make it so hard that they don't want to. So I don't work at these server places, but I do work for companies that utilize them, and I don't want them here. I mean, I make a living working with these data servers and things like that, but if we let these in here, you know, there's some little small ones, like crypto mining actually is probably the lesser of the evils. They're usually very small, they don't use as much resources. But we can't make more land, we can't make more water. I mean, you know, we dry up our aquifers, we're gonna have sinkholes, people are gonna be sleeping and their houses are going in the ground and you'll never see the earth again, just like Florida. So I think we need to put a lot of thought into this because we can't, you know, our wildlife will go away, our environment will just suffer, and our life as it is here will no longer exist.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, I do actually have an answer to one of your questions. How many places are over 500 continuous acres? There are 2. There are 2 in Union County that have over 500 continuous acres. I don't know, I just have the parcel numbers that I pulled off of. Okay, our next person is going to be Mr. Randy Mays, a Union County resident. I hope I got your name right. Thank you. Glad to have you back. Get my stuff out of your order. You just tell me when you're ready and I'll start the time, okay? Okay. 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 All right.
All right, can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay, my name is Randy Mays. I live here in Blairsville. Good evening. And so, Commissioner, good evening. Any county staff that is here, good evening. There's a whole lot of good work in the ordinance. The detailed noise standards, the fire safety standards, the cybersecurity certification. I'm not here to replace it. I'm here to ask for additions and strengthening. The proposal may stop small and medium companies, but it won't stop the large ones. And as we heard tonight, we'd love to ban the incentives, but it will lead to lawsuits, and these companies have a lot more money than we have. The best way to protect Union County is to require the companies to demonstrate through independent professional studies that... Too close? Closer? Okay. To require companies to demonstrate through independent professional studies that they will not harm our tourism, our agriculture, our infrastructure, including our water and electric, and ensure that Union County taxpayers will never be made to pay for any of these costs. And some of that's in there. But we need to go further. I've given the commissioner and our attorney a handout, the specifics, some of you have it. The ordinance must cover any facility that consumes more than 1 megawatt of electrical power. Anything greater will significantly impact our electric. Furthermore, the definition must include the function of the applicant, not its name, which determines that it falls under the umbrella of the ordinance, and the sole commissioner or the executive of the county at that time is obligated to classify it as such. It cannot bypass. Okay? Next thing, we must have independent impact studies. We can't give this to the applicant to make the decisions about who they're going to hire. And regarding our water, utilities, noise, and the like, it has to be spelled out specifically in the ordinance, and the applicant must pay for them. My handout details the process for the selection of these professionals so that neither the applicant nor the county determines who conducts these studies, including an affidavit from the professional affirming that they have no ties to the county and no ties to the company that's applying. We need stronger setbacks and water protections. 2 miles from any residence, 3 miles from any school or church, 0 net groundwater withdrawal with a closed loop, not the options. Let's not give them options. A closed loop cooling only. It's in the handout. We need stronger setbacks. I think I said that already, right? We need full financial protection, and some of that is in there, but it needs to be stronger. A decommissioning bond based on an independent engineer's estimate posted before the construction begins, all infrastructure costs paid by the developer, and no county tax abatements of any kind. There needs to be a special use permit. And that ensures that we have these public hearings, but they have to be held after all these special independent studies have been done, not before. We need to know exactly what's spelled out. Again, no person should have the authority to allow the applicant to move forward until we've had that review. Lastly, we must hire, and this is all due respect to you, we have to hire a qualified Georgia land use attorney to review the ordinance. They will need to provide a sworn legal affidavit certifying that neither they nor their firm has received more than $10,000 from any data center or similar enterprise within the preceding 7 years. Not only the applicant, but here in the county too. Any county employee or any county staff member. And I've gone through this. The selection process is 5 names. The applicant crosses off one, the county crosses off one until there's only 1 name left, so there's no special accusation. I understand. I've given that to the sole commissioner and the lawyer.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mr. Daniel T. Batchelor, also a Union County resident.
Call the next person so they can be ready. Call the next person so they can be ready.
I did.
Thank you for the time to allow me to come up here to speak. First off, yeah, the ordinance is much more thorough reading through it tonight. But as the other gentleman just stated, we got to go a little bit further as far as working to keep them out. Now, my first suggestion would be what the First Lady said. I don't really know how much attention it got, but I know the moratorium has expired, but I think the first order should be Monday morning to extend it 6 months for further studies, further information, okay? That's been kind of, okay, all right. So, but my understanding is there's already been 5 counties in Georgia who have done this. They've extended it through 2026 with the stated language that we are doing more research, more study to really see the impacts that these would have on our community, okay? So that's the first thing, just do that, 6 months, gives us the end of the year, we get to go through this, make this more ironclad, more thorough. I understand the lawsuit, issues. The other thing that might happen is there are counties across the country, not necessarily in Georgia, that are doing outright bans. Maybe they get sued, maybe they win, and now there is case law on our side to do outright bans. So the longer that we can draw this out, the more opportunity there is maybe for that to move in. I was going to ask what pieces of property have the 500 contiguous acres and half mile, because I figured you guys created that because you have specific plots of land in mind that they might be able to be in there. We need to know, that needs to be public knowledge, where are these areas in Union County that fits inside of it. That needs to be public knowledge immediately. And my other part would be, why are we stopping at 500 contiguous acres? Why is it not 2,000 contiguous acres? And to be honest with you, 0.5 miles is laughable. If you live within 2 miles of these summits, you will be here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 0.5 is not strong enough, okay? You need to make that much, much more stringent. Push it to 2 miles, push it to 3 miles, push it to 2,000 acres, whatever it might be to really squeeze. And then unfortunately, I didn't understand the state law as far as the $1,000 fines are concerned. And I gotta say to everybody in here, the state of Georgia is not on our side. The state of Georgia is not on your side. You need to understand that, okay? And so we have to come together as a community to fight the state house, okay? All right? It is not on our side. The governor, everybody that is running for the governor's mansion, they are stating that they want Georgia to be the #1 AI data center in the country, okay? They've already given $350 million in subsidies to new data centers, so please understand that aspect of it as well. Thank you for my time. Thank you.
All right, so the commissioner there's no properties that were picked out for this. The commissioner wanted something that would be hard and expensive to buy, and that would not be close to people. That's how the 500 acres came up. That's how the half mile came up. Half mile came up because if you had a 500 acre plot in a circle, and you said you had to put 2 miles from the nearest property line, that's impossible, because that's longer than the 500 mile radius, or 500 acre radius. But let me explain something before I call the next person. Obviously, everyone who signed up that wants to speak is going to get to speak. If you don't like something like the 500 acres, feel free to make a suggestion. That's what this is here for. We're writing down your suggestions. We want to hear your suggestions. We go back, we weigh them at the second hearing, at the second reading. This will change. The purpose of the public hearing is, if you want to make a statement for your 3 minutes, make any statement you want. Come up and say you don't want them, you do want them, I don't think anybody wants them, but you don't want them, you don't like this, or this should be stronger. We're here to hear your suggestions. So, everyone wants it stronger. If you have a suggestion on how to make that stronger, that's what this is for. So come up and voice that, okay? And of course you can say whatever you want. You got 3 minutes, all right? You can always send an email to the commissioner's office, like many of you did, like I said at the beginning of this, with suggestions of how you think you could be better, especially now that we have the 9-page document. And this 9-page document got finalized today. And so take it home if you've got some suggestions, if you've got some expertise in an area that you would like to increase, email the commissioner's office. Say, hey, data mining, crypto mining, whatever, suggested changes, okay? That's how we came up with the 9 pages, all right? From y'all's input. So I'll call the next person, but yes, if you read this over and you've got input, just email the commissioner's office, you go to the website, you can send it in, and we also will have a second reading of this, okay? So there'll be plenty more time to put in input. Yes. All right. Jean Sauer? Jean Sauer from Union County? I'm sorry, I can't read the name right. Ah, here we go. Zoffer. All right. Jean. Sure. Yeah, and then we can have on deck Miss Marcia Lewis. Well, she's right here, already doing what?
I just want to say first that I hear these horror stories about counties all over the state where the officials have been bought and paid for. And I want to thank our commissioner for not being one of those to stand with us on this. And you know, I love this county. It is a beautiful county, but it is a small county. And the thing to remember is that this is a David and Goliath fight. And while my wife made the great suggestion of just saying no, I like that a lot, really did. But the point is, if that won't work, then maybe we need to just absolutely overwhelm them. Maybe instead of 9 pages, it needs to be 90. I don't care what it takes, whatever we have to do that. And among those things would be taxing, I mean, and Georgia's good at this anyway, tax everything that you can think of that could be taxed on that place. I mean, tax their lunchbox, whatever you have to do. But also, maybe in the other direction, if there is a person in this county, if I had 500 acres and couldn't afford necessarily to pay taxes on 250-acre plots instead of one 500-acre plot, make that easier for me, sir. Make that possible, that it could be subdivided without a financial incursion into my entire wallet, you know. And so make it possible to break these up in a way that would be less attractive to these people. Also, in any way that things can be made less attractive to them, again, taxing everything. I don't know if it can be done, but the farms in this county deserve protection as much as we can give them. And so we're persistent. I don't know. But I just want to say, when you guys get home and a bright idea comes to you, do send it to our commissioner. He needs your ideas. And then if we get back, let me say this, if we get back and we do have a 19 or 29 or 90 page document, maybe we could have this done where at 5 o'clock the document is read, and those who don't want to hear it can stay home until then and get it done. Thank you all.
All right, while Ms. Lotus speaks, can Donna Jimenez come on up? All right, Ms. Lotus. Oh, she's good. Ms. Jimenez, come on up. And then if we can have Ty Bennett, a Union County resident, on deck. Yeah, you can use whatever you need.
Okay, I want to introduce myself real quick. My name's Donna Jimenez. I've been in technology for 35 years. I'm from a fintech out of Atlanta. My job was infrastructure, global infrastructure around the globe, and most of it had to do with data centers. We do mergers and acquisitions, and we would merge data centers together, break them down, move them, but I've never seen the data centers like the ones that are going up. So I want to add a couple of things. I want to get right to the facts because I don't want to ramble. So I've been working with you and the last 2 commissioners on the ordinance. I started on the first ordinance. I sent the medical issues that I had, the government guidelines, along with the SOC 2 guidelines, which is the security, and it has to do with fintech, and it has to do with your money, right? Because these things can be dangerous to their locals for a financial standpoint if the security is not being met. I see that you put in here that a SOX 2 is voluntary. I don't think it should be voluntary. It should be.
That's just the definition.
I've never heard it be called voluntary. So it's a federal guideline. Okay, so those are the 2 things. So let's talk about the medical. I noticed that the medical guidelines that I sent is not in there. You do have the megahertz and stuff in there, so I don't know if it meets the federal guidelines. And what that means to you, if you're close to one, if you have a pacemaker, an defibrillator, it will cause them not to work. I want you to understand that. That is a serious issue. That is something I've been preaching on for the last 4 years here. I even met with Mr. Commissioner again, this commissioner, not the previous, but this one, and he understood that as well. And I was hoping that, I mean, you did an excellent job here, but I really think you should have a warning, something in there, so people know. Because to me, if you're not alive, then what does it mean? And I do know that there's about 648 data centers scheduled for the state of Georgia, so you need to keep that in mind. There's a lot of smart people here, because I came here from Atlanta and sold everything and moved up here because this was a great place. But there's a lot of really smart realtors in here, and if you need some help with programming, you have a way to know when land is being sold, when it's being looked at, when there's a contract. I suggest everybody keep your eyes open and just help with that. I was hoping, can we get those updates for the health guidelines in here? Can we add those? Yeah, because I've emailed them several times.
Send them to me.
I sent it to Mr. Ponson also prior, but I'll send it again. I'll forward the email. Because the health guidelines. Okay, I already typed it all up, so I will make sure that gets in as well. That'll be my job. But if there's anything you guys need, or if you need help from me, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name's Donna Jimenez. You can find me there. If you have questions, you need answers, I'll get them for you. Thank you.
That was what the original guy did.
Repeat your name, please. Repeat your name.
That's Ms. Jimenez. All right, I forgot because it got kind of busy, but I did want to comment on something. A lot of research was done prior to this to try to see some pitfalls other counties have fallen into. One of the things I came across, and it was just articles, so I don't know if it's true or not true. Let's put it at that. I read several articles that stated what I'm about to tell you. Big companies will buy up LLC, shell corporation stuff to go buy your land, to go put stuff on it so they can get a cheaper price, okay? That's a common thing that a lot of big companies do, because if you see AT&T wanting to buy your land, they'll charge them $1 million, but if you see William Mercer LLC, you might give them a fair price. I have been seeing a lot of articles where people try to do the Federal Information Act and Open Records Act of Georgia and other things to try to see who they're actually buying it for, and it's been turned down due to trade secrets, meaning they will not give you the name of who they're actually buying it for, and according to the articles, again, I'm not saying it's true or not, it's just articles I read, that the government is backing them up with this. Seeing that, not knowing if it's true or not, but try to avoid that happening here. If you look at the ordinance, part of the requirements, and I know there was a lot of crosstalk going on when it happened, so you might not have heard this. If someone gets whatever acreage we settle on, right now it's 500, it might not be that on the next one. Every property that touches it has to sign off that they are willing to have one of these centers there beside them before we will even consider their permit. Every one of them. So that is part of, you cannot come into Union County secretly. You will literally have to have a signed statement by how many ever residents own that property around you that say, yeah, we're fine with it, okay? And then after that, we put out miles radiuses for written notices to have a public hearing with all the requirements we've added prior to a public hearing where everyone could come in and have an opinion on whether this permit should be given or not, okay? There's lots of things we see, there's lots of things we've tried to come up with to avoid it, okay? But again, if you have specific suggestions, this is the time to do it. So I did ask Mr. Ty Bennett to come on up. You're next. Mr. Ty Bennett, are you still here? Ty Bennett. And then while Mr. Bennett is coming up, the next person I have is a Mr. Joe Duckett. So if you could go ahead and start queuing up. Mr. Bennett, the floor is yours.
I changed my question because the woman had just said about the pacemakers and stuff not working. You're in that area. My question was, when the pacemakers and stuff quit working with the lady that was up here, why wouldn't they be subject to wrongful death and stuff like that if that pacemaker doesn't work?
So, just as general legal matter, if a facility was putting out a frequency that killed someone, that stopped their pacemaker, they would be liable. They would have a civil suit against them. I'm not aware of civil suits for that. That doesn't mean they're not out there. This was brought up in 2022, but the person who died, their estate would have a severe wrongful death action.
Thank you, that all?
Mr. Joe Duckett. Mr. Joe Duckett. Yeah, okay. The next person up would be Charlotte Jordan. I may not be reading your handwriting right, but I believe it's Charlotte Jordan. Okay. And then while Miss Charlotte is up here, if Charlie, there we go. If y'all could queue up for next, okay?
Hi, I heard a lot of great ideas tonight, and one of the things I wanted to point out or ask, as you do the from cradle to grave to help citizens understand that whatever comes in our community or should come in our community, or addressing anything from the beginning to the end, if it should close or go bankrupt or whatever, that we're not sitting, something's not sitting on property that just deteriorating.
Actually, there's already a provision in there. If you go to the near last section, it's a bond. It's called a decommissioning and reclamation bond. It's required to be posted by anyone in case, like you're saying, they abandon it, they do anything where it gets out all the hazardous materials and gets all these things out, and they have to post a bond for enough money to do that so that Union County doesn't have to put that bill.
You said that we could be sued if a company, any company, whether it's a data center or a service one or anything, new technology that we haven't even thought of yet, they try to come here. Loopholes, is there anything, possibility that as much as you make this as strong as possible, is there still a loophole that could be sued in the future? Can you think of anything?
As a lawyer, anybody can sue for anything they want at any time. No matter how wrong they are or how right they are, it doesn't stop them.
So it's very possible. And I just like to have it in my mind that it's very possible. We know we're going to make this as strong as possible. We don't know what the future could bring, and someone could still try to do that right.
So there is a theory in law called unconscionability. Okay, and what that means is, it's a theory in contracts usually, that a contract is so one-sided, no one could ever follow it, so the whole thing gets thrown out. You want to avoid that, even in ordinances. If the ordinance says you have to have 50 square miles of property, that will more than likely get thrown out. And then you have no range barrier. So you want to make it as tough as you can, but you don't want to make it so outrageous that a court would automatically throw it out.
Thank you, sir. I just think it's good for us to understand that as you're coming up with these ordinances, that we understand that we can only go so far with them. We can't have it ridiculous to where we get sued.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Charlie Dawn. Mr. Joe Oswald is next.
My husband never down to ask a question, but I'm going to take his place.
Who is it for?
Charlie Azarello.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I wanted to know, everybody is, yes, 500 acres, but what about all the animals and wildlife and everything that's going to be disturbed? We're living so much in town that, we're taking up their wildlife, their homes.
We live in the most biologically diverse county in the entire U.S. We have more biological diversity than anything, and it relies on the microbiology in our water that we will ruin.
There's going to be a lot of trees taken down, a lot of endangered.
Listen, we're going to be respectful to everybody. When someone has signed up to talk and they're speaking, if you continue to talk over people, you will be asked to leave. So let's all be respectful, okay? Please continue.
Thank you. But there's going to be a lot of endangered plants, trees. What are we going to do about them? Are they going to have to be fined for taking out endangered species?
Now, as someone that really enjoys nature myself, part of the multiple studies that we have said they have to do, an environmental impact study. Now that will cover all wildlife, native plants, things like that. You're going to have to do a cultural impact study. We live in Appalachia. I know a lot of y'all moved here from other places, but my mother was born here. She grew up here. All of my mother's family lives here. Mr. Collins has been here for generations. Most of y'all have been here for generations, okay? We have a way of life we want to preserve. And that cultural impact study is going to be a part of how does this affect a Union County citizen's way of life that they have known for generations and generations. Not only that, there are multiple people, not only in my family, and I'm sure they're probably in here, that are registered members of the Cherokee Nation, okay? Just right across the border, we have, Cherokee Nation. And that Native American impact-led study is meant to find, is there any Native American influence that would have been on this property they're seeing? I mean, is there pottery there? Is there arrowheads there? Is there, we're trying to think of everything we can to preserve what drew everybody here. We've had a 33% increase since COVID. So, more building, that's more building all the time, more people move in all the time. Can't necessarily stop people from moving in, but if it's going to be something like this, we want to make sure that the Appalachian way of life, specifically the Union County way of life, and the culture that has been here since 1776 does not get disturbed. And that was part of all the assessments that's required before a public hearing, before a permit can even be voted on yes or no, okay? So all of that has to come out. The public will have input on all of that. We will see what's going on whatever. If someone is bound and determined to come in here, it's right now, and I'm not saying this can't be stronger, but right now it's going to be very arduous.
Are you going to have someone from the outside evaluating the land to make sure that nothing's being disturbed, like with the Cherokee Indians, and or is it going to be someone local that has their hand in somebody's pocket?
Well, I think maybe let me see if this is your suggestion. Are you suggesting that Union County come up with a list of approved evaluators that whoever is going to do can pick from? Maybe? Okay. Anything else? Because I know you got interrupted for a while. All right. Okay, Mr. Oswald. Oh, here you are. And while Mr. Oswald is talking, if we could have a Theo Partridge on deck.
Hi, I'm a full-time resident, and like almost everybody here, I believe, I am solidly against this. And I've got about, also like the previous speaker, about 30 years working in technology. In particular, I have a lot of experience with the hardware that goes into the data center. So what I wanted to do was just talk real quick about one of the things that I saw in here that for me, I mean, it's almost like we're focused on the wrong thing. Everybody's focused on the acreage. The 250 kilowatt per hour per square foot per year is a ridiculously low, I mean, you can't build a data center for that. It's, if I was a developer and I saw that, that alone has me moving to the next county. Because, and let me just break this down. That amount, it seems like a lot, 250 kilowatt hours, that's a lot, right? That rolls down to about 28 watts per square foot. You cannot build a data center with that kind of infrastructure. It'd be like building a data center the size of this gym and populating this back row of chairs here with computers, and that's it. The rest of us would have to be empty. No investor is going to do that. So if the goal of writing this ordinance is to make it impossible for data center companies to come into Union County and make a profit doing it, this is going to do it. This is going to prevent them, you know, from wanting to invest their money in here. It's 250 kilowatt hours is like the deal breaker if you're building that kind of thing. But yeah, that's about all I had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Theo Partridge? That, I'm sorry, I couldn't read your. It's all good. And while Mr. Partridge is about to start, if we could get, Mr. Stokin, Mr. and Mrs. Stokin up here.
So, you've mentioned two properties that meet the 500 acre requirement that's currently in this legislation.
500 continuous, I don't know if they.
Correct. One of those properties is been referred to as the hospital property. I think many people in here are aware of that property. That property is owned by Hangar One. Hangar One is owned by the Payne family. The Payne family also owns Advanced Digital Cable. They supply low voltage copper wire for data centers. These are facts. Hangar One is also buying other properties that surround the hospital property. So when you state every property that touches the property line, the owners of those properties must agree in writing, I have to wonder, are they going to be able to agree with themselves? Because they do own several properties that touch that property.
Now we do have in here on 144, or 44-153, multiple applications under common ownership. This is meant so that you couldn't just buy the surrounding properties as the same owner. We're going to consider that a continuous property till you get to a property line. And we can go back and revise this and make it clearer what you're saying, so that the owners just couldn't buy up in their shell.
Because it appears that's what they're doing now. I don't know what their intentions are. I don't pretend to know what their intentions are. I would suggest that you increase the acreage. I don't know by how much, but I would suggest that you increase the acreage. Also, Adam Payne was named as the executor of the Hill Estate, which sits in the middle of the hospital property. And then he signed that property over to Hangar One. So they certainly have over 500 acres, contiguous acres. Couple of quick suggestions. The closed loop cooling system, I think it's a great idea. I appreciate the last gentleman who mentioned the power usage. I had a thought that perhaps you could require a percentage, perhaps a very large percentage of their power to be produced by solar on site. So they have to put in a solar system that will produce, say, 50% of the power they need. Anything that we do that makes it harder for them to get here without creating a loophole that they can exploit is going to make somewhere else more attractive. And that, I think, is our goal. So, I appreciate it.
Phil Stoker. A couple of questions. And original suggestion, I concur with the earlier individual who said that the study should be conducted by a third party, independent of both the developer and the county. Has your permit fee passed passes your legal review as far as the amount?
Anybody can sit over anything.
I appreciate all the concerns. I do have an additional question before a closing statement and suggestion. Are flock security cameras in use? Flock security cameras that are around the county, are they in use?
I don't know about flock security cameras. Is there? Oh, there.
They all belong to the city? Okay. Well, I apologize, this comment is not for you, Mr. Commissioner, but for all of us. If we are diametrically opposed to data centers, we should be equally opposed to the systems and the information that is produced from those very systems, which would include flock security cameras that violate our First Amendment.
Russ Marcrow? Russ Marcrow. Is Russ Marcrow still here? All right, what about Donna Guess? Miss Donna Guess. There she is. While Miss Guess is coming up, if we could get Mr. Dennis Musselwhite. I'm sorry if I butchered that.
Thank you. Okay, a lot of it's been covered, and I am amazed at how many people are here, like Mr. Mercer and the Commissioner. Do you know there was a study put out about 3 months ago that 180 people bothered to fill out that is what our community is going to look like during the next 5 years in the future. I hope that most people will go to the county website, they will post it there, and you will fill it out. We went to a meeting where 6 people showed up, 2 of which were my husband and I. So please, if you're this concerned about the data centers, be as concerned about everything else that is going to come to our community and ruin it, okay? So the first thing, Mr. Mercer, is, I know they talked about it, but have you conferred with other attorneys that have fought and won these lawsuits and what they included in theirs? And then those counties who have lost what is in theirs to make ours stronger?
I haven't talked to attorneys directly that have fought and lost. They've usually been in other states. But our county clerk actually went to a training here recently where Virginia County was basically forced to have a bunch of these things. And they really put out some comprehensive information of how tight and how rigid they would suggest ordinances be. And so a lot of that technical data that we have in here was pulled from that. Again, the state regulates power usage and water usage if the county does not own the utility company, which we don't.
What if a member owns?
Well, a member owned is not the county owned.
Right.
A member owned is. Well, I tried to put in here, you can't, obviously you can't tell the Blue Ridge EMC who they can sell power to. But as a pre-requirement, before a permit, before a public hearing, if one of these places wants to come in, they're gonna have to have infrastructure built in to actually get the power they would need there. That has to be disclosed, written off on by the EMC, saying, yep, that's what they're doing. Now, if the EMC don't want to sign it, that's fine. You don't meet the requirement, so you don't get a permit. But it also says, okay, who's going to be paying for all that infrastructure? Is it going to be the ratepayer, which would be me and you and everyone in here who pays an electric bill? Or is it going to be the company that pays that? Some people talked about tax incentives here. You know, there's not many tax incentives that counties can give out. It's very, very limited. State can give out plenty. And of course, utility companies that know they're going to be selling a ton of power or giving a ton of water or a ton of something to someone usually puts that infrastructure in them for free. So we can't tell them what they can do and what they can't do, but we can find out the information prior to a permit being had where the public can find out exactly what's going on. Okay? I spoke a lot.
I was going to say, yes, I just have a couple more. So, in the clarification about one person saying no on the border of the property, do they have to give a reason why they say no, or just they don't want it there? And that'll stand in a court of law if they fight it. Okay, so who does the environmental impacts? I think we talked about that in some of the other ones where we want an independent, outside Union County, somebody that's going to, yeah, just be independent. I think that's you're going to make sure. And for one thing, are you definitely going to put the moratorium back in place immediately, or can you?
The moratorium is still in place.
Oh, it is? Okay. And what's the date, the final date? How long do we have to get this right?
How long will go to the clerk? I don't know it offhand.
April 16th, maybe?
So we've extended it 180 days from mid-April, okay? Give or take. I don't know the exact date, but it's already been extended an additional 180 days.
So we can extend it continuously until...
There is a limit on extendance. We've already extended it once. There is a limit. There's a state law limit.
So we can't go past that. Okay, can we, oh yeah, EMC would have to do that. So I was gonna say, if we could force them to charge them higher rates so that our rates don't go up, because if they put more power in and they're gonna pay for the infrastructure, not them, but the EMC, because they're gonna sell the power, is that gonna cause everybody's rates to go up?
Listen, that's an EMC question. That's a utility company question. We can't regulate utility companies as the county. But that's information that if someone decided to come in here, they would have to provide pre the public hearing before a permit is considered. So at least everyone who's interested would know what the utility company is planning on doing as far as charging the ratepayer, being the regular customer, or charging the facility, the one wanting to put it in. All right. Thank you for your time, ma'am.
I just have one more question. So can they buy federal land? Because half of our county is federal land, it can't even be sold. Can they purchase that? Because they have a limited budget. And the thing is, my husband's family is from Ohio, and they have a family farm up there. They farm actually over 5,000 acres, but their farm that their home is on is over 125 acres. And there is a new data center bordering that, and the way they got the land, they offered them 2.5 times what the appraised value was. Who's not going to sell for that? And so they can acquire it even if it's not available now. Is there a way we can stop that?
If a county government could stop the federal government from selling anything, that would be a new one on me. I would say anything's possible. The federal government can do what they want to with their land. Thank you. Correction, April 16th for 120 days, okay? That's what it was, what the 180 is 120. So April 16th, 120 days. Mr. Dennis Musselwhite? Dennis Musselwhite? Okay. Wes Lyle? Is Wes Lyle still here?
Okay, Wes Lyle, I've been in IT for 35 years and cybersecurity for the last 20 years. And I've been working with AI for the last 3 years. So I know what goes on in those data centers. I've been in many of them. I'm not pro data center. I don't want one as a neighbor like the rest of you guys. I saw some of my comments in here already adopted. I think we've made it, I think you guys have done a good job of making this very difficult for anybody to comply with. I think only the very, very biggest ones could possibly afford to apply with this. And this isn't really the terrain that they're interested in, so I think we're pretty safe. But there's one more thing I thought of tonight that you could add, and that's that if one of those really big guys comes here, that they have to do something with the local community schools to have a program, set up a cybersecurity program, an AI program with the 2-year schools up here. It's their 2 million open jobs in my field. That's pretty good job security.
Thank you, Mr. Lyle. Everybody listen, everybody's suggestions are getting taken, okay? So, that doesn't mean everything's going in the ordinance. It just means this is the venue to take everyone's suggestions. And Mr. Lyle had some wonderful suggestions that he sent in that actually got put in here. Mr. Oswald made some wonderful suggestions. These 2 men both have worked in this field and has given information to actually make this very robust. I know I do not understand the technical aspects of these things. I might can sue a megawatt, but I don't understand what it is. So I will look to the people who actually know what it is to go, hey, this is what you would want. We've worked in these fields. Like, I'm very appreciative we have these type of people here. Mr. Scott DePhillips. I'm sorry if I put you down. And while Mr. Scott is coming up, Beth Sharon from Towns County would like to be heard.
Can you all hear me without the echo of the microphone? All right, so my name is Scott DePhillips, and I've lived in Union County for the last 2 years. A couple questions and then comments. Does the county have an active master plan for development? No, for what we want the county to look like 50 years from now, a master plan. Do we have an active zoning board?
No, we have no zoning.
Correct. So that's where my comments come in. I was in politics for over 20 years and did exactly this. We did zoning, planning, and environmental impact. And my suggestion would be from the get-go to establish a zoning and planning board, because unrestricted might have worked in 1926, but in 2026, like, we're gonna get what we get. So if we don't affect change right now, the change that we get, we're not gonna like. So my suggestion would be to get those up and running, but at first, we know we have 2 parcels of 500 acres. There are other acreage that we need to immediately identify. If we know through GIS and the great people of the county how many working farms we have, those need to be zoned agricultural tomorrow. So we can't get data centers today. And if we have a golf course, a ball field, they need to be zoned recreational, large parcels, so these centers or something can't go in. So, and also, somebody had mentioned farms that, offer $2 million and they sell out, and I hate that. I moved here for the lifestyle. I moved here not to change Union County. I want it to be just as your parents and your family and everybody else's family who've been here for generations, to look back and say, this is what we preserved, not what we gave away. So a couple things that have worked when I did this before was we partner with different agencies. Trust for Public Land. They match donations. How many people in here would pay a half a penny or a penny more non-ad valorem tax to lockbox millions of dollars to buy land so it won't be developed? So we can do that. We can do non-ad valorem or, and I'm new to this, Commissioner, so excuse me, the SPLOST or FLOST monies, if we earmark some of that money and put it in a lockbox for purchases of large parcels of land for whatever. We can keep it as green space in perpetuity. So if we see that 500 acres come up or that 100 acres come up, we can buy that and keep that as county space. We have a great park. Meeks Park is probably a premier park. We can add to our collection and not have development. But we could also do with that floss for non-ad valorem money is go to that farmer and say, hey, listen, we know you've been offered X amount. We have X amount of money, $1 million lockbox. We will give that money, we will buy your farm from you, but we still want you to be a farmer because you're an asset to our community and our county. So we're gonna lease it back to you for $100 a year, but you still farm it, make the money on that, the county will own it and will preserve that in perpetuity so we won't have a big box store, an AI place. So these are tools that we can put in that I think would benefit all of us moving forward.
That's very intuitive suggestions. I do need to point out that floss, it didn't pass, but if it would have passed, it can only be used to offset property taxes. SPLOST can be used to buy land. So SPLOST can be used to buy land, a floss cannot, just so everyone don't get confused. Floss can only go to offset property taxes. Ms. Beth Sharon? What's your name? Andy Key. Okay. Ms. Key is speaking for Ms. Sharon from Townsend.
Okay. Amen to the guy who just was here. I didn't catch your name, but amen on a lot of those. I just have just a few little recommendations. The evaluation section, section 44, 153, number 5, that section indicates environmental impact, evaluation, cultural heritage. Those are very vague terms. My recommendation would, they don't describe standards like federal standards for impact studies, impact assessments, what level, and who the standards for whoever would conduct those evaluations. Because just the term evaluation is very loose in the environmental and the cultural areas. So, fire ratings, they seem, I have a big concern about fire in these facilities and it getting into our mountains and destroying our mountains. So the fire rating, internal fire rating of 30 minutes seems a little low to me. So, we could look at how long it would take our fire department to respond to one of those facilities. That would be something that was more feasible than just throwing out a 20-hour rating. More fire protection. And can the county restrict foreign ownership in their contracts? The federal government can restrict their contracts from foreign entities and foreign ownership. Is the county allowed to do that? The federal government and their contracts can
you mentioned the county.
The county, your Union County. No,
Okay.
just this county.
I'd have to really look into that. I know the federal can decide whatever they do. There's different standards for states and different standards.
Right.
I don't know the answer right off.
It would be nice to know whether or not you could disallow a foreign entity from purchasing land.
Well, okay, I can answer that, all right? If it's county land someone's trying to purchase, it is up to the commissioner's office who they sell to, okay? But if it is a private person, 100% for a fact, the county cannot tell a private individual who they can and cannot sell to. There may be a federal law that prevents that, but if Mr. Collins owned 10 acres and he wanted to sell it to whomever, he wanted to sell it to Mr. Canada, The county can't say you're not allowed to sell to a foreign person or foreign entity.
Has the county completed any kind of financial cost estimate? How much it would cost the county to manage, regulate, and enforce this code? I'm happy that you're coming together with this code, but this is going to cost money. 250 million? How far is that going to go? How much is it going to cost to do all of this, to regulate it and to enforce it?
Right now, we have it with the Union County Building Department. They do a wonderful job. And, I mean, maybe it causes another employee to be hired. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised at how much good work they do over just this county alone. And so, no, we haven't done an impact assessment of what it would cost. But are you suggesting that the county do a financial impact assessment for the county pre-permitting of anyone who tries to get a permit?
Just so you know your costs, because this is a lot of code to regulate. This is a lot of code to regulate and to manage, and it takes a certain expertise in all these different areas. So is the county planning on managing and enforcing all of this?
Yes. Yes. We have, I believe this is Annabelle Beavers, but if it's not Beavers, Annabelle, something that starts with a B. Is Ms. Annabelle here? Ms. Alicia Van from Union County. And Ms. Dawn, oh no, she's already spoken. Ms. Sylvia Munson would be last.
Please forgive me in advance if I ask a question that's already been asked. I had a hard time hearing y'all. So for the 500 acres contiguous, you said that we need to be reasonable so that we don't get sued, right? But I think it should be more. So is 2,000 acres reasonable? Is 1,000 acres reasonable? I would like to go as high as we can. So they could buy it, but I'm saying, could we require 2,000 acres and not get sued and lose?
You can get sued over here.
Well, valid.
You can get sued over here.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You could. Mr. Collins' original suggestion was 5 square miles. But that, I believe, would have been unconscionable. Meaning, nobody can buy 5 square miles. That's a lot. But, I mean, if you have a suggestion other than 500, then form for it.
Oh, yeah. I think 2,000.
Can you limit it to like 2 acres, half an acre, 3 acres? That'd stop it cold.
Yeah, you can expand it or limit it to whatever. Sorry, I'll give you. There you go. There's not a lot of people in here now, so I can hear.
Yeah, which is fine. And if you think 2,000 acres we would lose, then I would say 1,000 acres. I just want to go as high as we think we reasonably can. And then for the noise level test results being done annually, I'd like to suggest that we do that quarterly. And then for the fire rating designation, I'd like to suggest we do 60 minutes instead of 30. Okay. Now, did I understand properly that you said that we can't require that the business that builds this facility pays for all of the changes required to the infrastructure?
Correct, if the infrastructure would be put in by a private company.
Okay. Is there a way to put it in so that we require that any financial impact on the residents of our county would have to be reimbursed by the business who builds the data center?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
But that's why we're asking for the information to make any local utility company upfront about if you are, we've tried to word this where any utility company, if they do plan on providing a mass amount of utilities to whatever facility, that they have to be upfront on who they plan to charge for these upgrades, if upgrades are required. So that's about as far as we can ask for it and require it to be put in. But we can't tell them what they can and cannot do. The state regulates utilities.
And then we don't, can we have an added section about water quality requirements? That they have to maintain the same water quality level that we have today?
Now, about the water, so from all of our research, they either use potable water or reclaimed water. So potable water is drinking water. That's water they just pump to your house that you drink with, you take showers with. That's stuff everyone's worried about actually that going away. We live in the mountains. It is, I have been told by many people smarter than me on this subject, a well is impossible to supply that type of water to one of these places, okay? So they would have to get it from a private company, or if they use reclaimed water, which would be they would buy the water from the local treatment facility somehow. What we can do is that we require all wastewater. You can't just dump it on the ground. No one wants that back into our environment. So they are either going to have to pay for hookups to a local water treatment facility, or they are going to have to bust that out in tankers every day to a local water treatment facility. And the treatment facility, as it's written now, has to verify that they can withstand the load that would be coming to them and verify they can actually clean the water. So if you've got any more suggestions other than that, we're open here.
Could we test like the creek, like the river or the body of water that is a natural body of water closest to the facility to ensure that that water quality remains the same?
So your suggestion would be, let me clarify your suggestion. Annual or semi-annual environmental testing of the water, soil, and air and impacts on the not only native plants but wildlife, things like that on an annual or semi-annual basis to make sure they're not being affected by such facility. I can definitely put that down.
I just have two more. Since we want to make it expensive to build here and the county's in charge of property taxes, could we require that they have to pay the property taxes for all owner-occupied properties?
I wish.
And then is it possible to do a minimum permanent jobs requirement? Because typically these things only, provide like 15 jobs once they're operational.
I'd have to look into that. Right now in our ordinance, we do classify large businesses from personal owned, and there may be a slight variation in the requirements for permitting processes. Specifically, like Walmart doesn't have to have the owner of Walmart sign the permit. That's about as far as we can legally go with that. They can have the local manager sign a permit to sell alcohol, not Sam Walton, okay? But requiring, it may be possible, I'd have to look into it, requiring a certain amount of people they'd have to employ.
Yeah, basically just like a minimum financial benefit to the county. So either through jobs or taxes or whatever, high enough that it makes a difference, is my suggestion.
You're up for your 3 minutes, but, okay?
No, that's
okay. All right. All right, and finally, we have Miss Sylvia Munson. Miss Munson, you here? Pass. Pass? Well, y'all, I just want to tell y'all this about Miss Munson. Miss Munson did a lot of work on this. Miss Munson sent in a really comprehensive outline of the changes she would like to see, with backing of what we could actually do, not just, some pie in the sky let's make them do something that would never happen. I mean, she really put a lot of work into it. She really thought about it. And a lot of her suggestions are in here. So thank you, Ms. Munson, for that. All right, listen. Come on up. Everyone who signed up, we'll take a few more. We've been through everybody else, but we'll take a few more, okay?
Earlier, but I guess didn't get on the list. Even you're about 3/3.
It's okay, come on.
First of all,
Tell us your name, where you're from.
my name's Ed Stiles. I live in Union County. I've been here about 12 or 13 years. Like some of the people here, I have previously worked in technology. I was with Bell South in telecommunications, and then I worked at bellsouth.net, Cox Communications, and at IBM as a security administrator. So I have a little bit of understanding of some of these things. I also want to say that I appreciate the changes you have made. The document that I got several days ago from the Commissioner's office does not have much of the stuff that you read off today. And many of those things are items I wanted to talk about. Let me put my glasses on so I can read what I was going to do. Second. One change, obviously there were a lot of things that I had in my original document that you've already addressed. But one thing that was originally 44-153, need to remove the prefabricated, pre-engineered, or modular structure wording, allowing only structures that meet full data center standards. This would also involve changing item K in this section. In general, I'd object to any kind of shipping container or pre-built type of data structure. We need to think about what Hurricane Helene did in our neighbor in North Carolina. I would urge the county to include requiring any server farm, or DHI as I believe they're calling it, to meet the NEBS network equipment building systems, the ANSI BICS 002-024, and the NAB, TIA 942, Data Center Infrastructure Standards. I personally was in a telephone switching office in a hurricane. 120-mile winds gusting to 145. Buildings around me were destroyed. It was like another day in the office inside that building. So again, with what Hurricane Helene did several years ago, very close to here, could have hit here, I'd like to see those standards.
Before you leave, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give it to you.
Another thing I'd like to address, tax advantages. County ordinances should state no local tax rules will be adjusted for a data center facility built in Union County. They must pay the full county tax assessment in the amount and rate billed to ordinary residents. I believe you said that we can't really do too much about the power.
Now, I think we've come up with a comprehensive ordinance on power and water and emissions, but obviously if there's any other suggestions that does not relate to us regulating who they can sell to, how much they can sell to, we can't regulate that.
No.
But if you've got any other suggestions.
All relevant work to build out their infrastructure, the distribution system, and build additional monthly costs of buying and distributing power from TVA or other outside sources should be billed to the data center and not included in the local residents' bills. Okay.
But hey, well, send us in any more suggestions, okay?
Okay. One other thing, I'd really like to see an NDA, an ordinance on NDAs. That you can't sign any NDAs. The public must know what is going on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, who else wanted to come up? Come on, sir.
I'm Gary Florence. I live here in Blairsville. I've been going through my list of points, deleting what's already been covered. So what I have left hasn't been covered. One point of fact, the state of Maine and 173 counties nationwide have found a way to put permanent bans on data centers without subsequent lawsuits. I would really like to pursue whatever they did to immunize us against in the same fashion. A couple of omissions that I'd like to see added. There's no consequence listed for what happens when a facility uses more water than the company specifies in writing before the permit's approved.
We can't regulate how much they sell and how much they give.
No, but if they put it in writing that we're going to use X amount, is there any consequence when they go over that? Would that be the same then for, there's no consequence listed for the facility exceeding agreed upon creation of air, dust, smoke, glare, exhaust, heat, or humidity?
Yeah, that would be a violation of the ordinance, so there would be citations for all of that stuff. While requiring how much utility, power, water, whatever they're going to use on an annual basis, so that the public can know and be aware of it, is not something that, if they went over it, let's say they doubled it. We have it's not our power to sell. The state regulates it, not the county. And so no, there's no enforcement, but if we require it annually, at least the public can know what's happening.
And in the terms of the water use, I would like to see stronger language than just the company giving an estimate. I would like it to be a very detailed and as accurate estimate as possible. And I have 3 suggestions for the bill. I think we need to add verbiage about active spillage, groundwater, and soil contamination, and the response actions in the event of contamination. I know there is language in there about the transport of their wastewater, but there's nothing in there about accidents and spillage. I think in terms of our air, water, soil, etc., there should be at least as many detailed, specific restrictions for our natural resources as there are for the noise levels in this ordinance. I think there should be at least as many specific, defined restrictions for our air, water, and soil as there are for the noise levels. We've got paragraphs of very specific noise restrictions. I think our air, water, and soil deserves at least that. I apologize, this was touched on. I think the minimum distance from any data center facility to a residential property should be a minimum of 1 mile. A half mile is not going to do it. This past legislative session, they passed a bill that if you live within 5 miles of a raceway, you're not allowed to file a noise complaint. If they can do 5 miles for noise complaints around the racetracks, I think we deserve better than that. And finally, the combined use of potable and reclaimed water, and the way that it's worded that they can use one, the other, or both, is very vague and doesn't leave any specific limit of one or the other. X percentage of potable, X percentage of reclaimed. I think there should be a definite, specific consequence for going over the amount of wastewater they generate that our facility has to treat.
I may have to talk to you afterwards to kind of get exactly what you're trying to say.
Okay, but that's basically it. I've been reading through it. Those are my thoughts.
All right, so say that.
Yeah, one of the provisions in there is that they have to estimate their wastewater.
Yeah.
And the way it's going to be handled, that it's going to be trucked to the facility, the treatment facility.
One of the ways.
Right. I think that if they are, it's a finite number, they can calculate what their output of wastewater will be. That's not a guess. They have statistics to do that. I think if they put it in writing that they're going to generate X 100 million gallons of wastewater a year, and they go over that, there should be circumstances or consequences for that.
What percentage over would you suggest?
I would say it has to be based on the minimum overage that our treatment facility can handle, which is kind of addressed in there, but again, it's somewhat vague.
So, okay, so you mean if they produce more wastewater than they estimate, as long as the wastewater facility can handle it, it's okay?
If it can't handle it, there has to be consequences. They have to find a way to treat it, and they have to pay for it.
Well, all right, so
I believe the city of Blairsville owns the wastewater facility. There may be some sort of intergovernmental agreement we could have with the city of Blairsville about that, but I'll write it down.
I just don't think that's a question we should be debating.
I understand.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody that hasn't, I'm sorry, you're next, I promise. Okay? Y'all come on up. Y'all just queue up right here. Hey, if you want to speak, just come on and queue up. All right?
Hello.
Tell us your name and where you're from.
I'm Linda Allred from Union County. So I just asked AI if there was a fire risk associated with data centers. It said there is no exact official count or centralized public database tracking every data center fire in the US.
everybody, this young lady's trying to speak. If we are speaking at the same time, we are being rude to her, and we cannot hear her. Thank you. Go ahead.
So anyway, it's not tracking in this country primarily because facility operators frequently bury incident details behind non-disclosure agreements. So those are buried sometimes behind NDAs to protect corporate reputations. So I thought that was important to bring up because the data centers are incriminating themselves basically. And I wanted to address the lady over there who talked about biodiversity.
I'm right here behind you, ma'am.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. So I'm probably going to cover some of what you said. So I just want to go on the record. I think we should address cultural impacts because we live in a county where nearly half of the county is the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest. So that's a big impact on the biodiversity here. This is a big biodiverse biologic zone, as you said. And I think that should be put on the record.
Thank you.
Now listen, anybody else who wants to speak, please come on and queue up. We will not take any more after if you're not queued up, okay? No, as long as you're queued up, man, you're fine, okay? We won't take any more if you're not already queued up, all right? Please tell us your name, where you're from.
I'm Christy McFarland. I'm a resident of both Union County and Fayette County. You've probably heard Fayette County on the news quite a bit lately, and that's because of the impacts of the data centers. First, I'd like to thank the county staff for their efforts to strengthen the proposed data center ordinance. An ordinance such as this could have prevented many of the issues that have occurred and are currently occurring in Fayette County. With that in mind, I would like to focus my comments today on one important question. What land use coordination measures or annexation policies are in place to ensure the property cannot be annexed into the city of Blairsville in order to avoid Union County's future data center regulations. This is exactly what happened in Fayette County. The land in unincorporated Fayette County was annexed into the city of Fayetteville, assembled through our development authority, and ultimately transferred to the development of QTS, hyperscale data center campus serving Microsoft. As a result, Fayette County's elected county commissioners lost jurisdiction over the property, and the county land use policies no longer govern the project. So while the campus sits within city limits, many of the impacts do not. The demands on water resources, utilities, infrastructure, substations, and transmission lines extend well into the unincorporated county and affect residents like me who had no voice in the original decision. So while I respectfully ask Union County and the city of Blairsville to address the annexation question now before similar development pressures arrive here, I believe it's important for Union County and the city of Blairsville to publicly discuss what safeguards, if any, are in place to ensure that future annexations cannot be used to circumvent county land use regulations, future data center ordinances, or the planning objectives established by the comprehensive plan. So to state this more directly, if the county adopts data center protections, those protections should not be rendered ineffective through annexation.
Ma'am, to answer your concerns, one, the county doesn't have to give any land to the city nor vice versa, especially if they know what the purpose is for. Now, if the city annexed some land for a purpose and then changed that purpose, we're kind of stuck. But from what you're talking about, I'm sure Commissioner Collins can meet with the city about an intergovernmental agreement that no one will use annexed land for data centers. Okay?
My concern specifically is development authorities. They assembled the land, they purchased the land, and then they transferred it to QTS, and now we have a Microsoft data center, and I have transmission lines coming through my property.
Thank you, ma'am. Lady in the blue. Please tell us your name, where you're from.
Roberta Colleen Morton from Union County. I just wanted to say, we all were very concerned about our county and how wonderful it is up here. And I am so grateful that we've had this hearing, you've heard us, that you've been so proactive in trying to get so many ordinances in there to do this, because this is what is stopping them from coming to other counties. I'm really grateful for all the experts that have shown up that have given you input. And so for this, I'm really grateful. And that you're listening to us and we're still going on. Two things. You know, we butt up to federal protected lands. It seems that our federal government is very AI friendly and has said so. And what, if anything, would they supersede anything that would be going on in Union County? They can.
I mean, the federal government can do what they want to with their land.
Okay.
If Union County can stop the federal government from doing anything, every county in the world can stop the federal government from doing something they didn't like.
Okay. And a little birdie asked me, since you can't extend the moratorium, could another moratorium be created?
There's an upper limit. We haven't reached that yet, and if it's not done, we will go to the upper limit.
Okay, thanks.
My name is Delana. I'm not from here, but I've been here for about 7 years now. And I was talking about how we live in literally the most biodiverse county in the entire United States. And I think that's pretty impressive. And that's all down to our microbiology, which is our dirt, and our fungus, and all the little things that you step on and don't think about when you're walking around. And a lot of those things, believe it or not, are not just protected by our state, but protected by our federal government. And so I'm just curious, what are some things that we can put in place to make sure that we're protecting our endangered species that are on the state level and the federal level, because we have both here.
Well, by putting all this in quickly, okay, like someone brought up, the evaluation language right now is kind of vague. It's not a bad idea to set a robust standard for what each of those is, so that you just can't skirt around it. Someone else suggested actually testing the soil and air and water and everything else around them. That's not a bad idea. We just need to, offhand, I can't tell you what the standard is to keep what we have now. That's some research that's going to have to be done, and we'll have to find out what that standard is. And if Commissioner Collins wants it in there, we're going to have it in there.
Yeah, I would just love that to be taken care of, because, considering we're not just the most biologically diverse in Georgia, but in the entire whole United States, having more life right here in this little county. I think that that's something that you, as the person that is legally representing us, should really think about.
To that point, we have a rare salamander that lives in Union County called the Chattahoochee Slimy Salamander. And it only lives here in Towns County and Cherokee and Clay County. It's awesome. Go flip a rock and find one.
Yes.
Next.
I'm Mike. I have a question for you. Okay. I was reading your ordinance, which I like, by the way. It's like, and I like the process and the start. I think y'all will do a good job. My question is the $1,000 fine. My understanding of Georgia law, and I'm not a law expert, so don't hold me to it, is that a violation can be by the day. It is, and that if it's in the county code that way, that if they have a violation on Tuesday, that's one violation, and if they have the same one on Wednesday, so if they let it continue for 50 days, that would be $50,000. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And I'll make sure to put it in there Wednesday.
So it's not just, that was my one question. The other question, is just, I was serious about the size. I have a little bit of code enforcement experience. I was the chief code administrator of the city of Boca Raton for 16 years, and Miami-Dade County for 8. And sometimes when you set something large, you invite the large guys. When you set something small, you eliminate the larger part of the problem, because nobody's going to build a data center on 3 acres. And I was looking at GPT, and I couldn't find a limitation on the size that you can do. So
let me ask you.
I'm serious about that.
Let me ask you a clarifying question. Okay, it sounds like you would want it super small, so they wouldn't want to come.
I wouldn't want it so super small that, a jury might say, but no bigger than 5 acres.
No big, okay. Your suggestion would be no bigger than 5 acres. Others say they want 2,000, 1,000.
Yeah, and that invites the guys who can afford it, the guys who can fight you in court and spend lots of money to fight you.
I mean, maybe there's a way to have 500 continuous acres buffer with the facility only taking up an impermeable space of an acre. Maybe. You like that suggestion?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, what a court would think about that, or a judge or a jury. So, but I'm just making a suggestion. Come on back, second round.
Different topic. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Just a couple of things. A lot of what I was going to discuss is already been discussed, or we'll rehash, just the minimums, et cetera, et cetera. One thing I'm very concerned about is fires. And it did say a 30-minute resist an internal electrical fire for at least 30 minutes. I don't know if we have a fire department that can actually respond and extinguish the fire within 30 minutes within the county. I think that it needs to be extended to a minimum of 4 hours. If you look back at Walt Disney World, when they were trying to develop Walt Disney World, they actually established that they had to contain a fire on property for a minimum of 6 hours, because they knew at the time Orange County was not able to respond and fight such a fire without the other areas coming in and helping and assisting. And not only that, when your apparatuses go to that fire, if you have another emergency, you don't have the apparatuses to respond to that emergency. So I think the fire is a big concern. And we're not just talking about electrical fires. There's going to be fuel storage for generators, there's going to be fuel storage for trucks, and there's going to be other storage, flammable items there that will be stored. The second thing is an emergency response plan. I think there needs to be an established emergency response plan for a natural and or man-made disaster at such a facility. FEMA has guidelines out there. There's all kinds of different guidelines out there, but I think there needs to be a something pre-planned in effect, so if something happens, whether it's natural and or man-made, there's a plan in place, everybody knows what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. Just like when you have hurricanes, you have plans in place, they know what routes they're going to take, and everything is set. Thank you.
All right, last one. Come on up, man.
Last but not least.
Name, where are you from?
Hi, I'm Marion Myers. I'm from right here in Blairsville. Beautiful Blairsville. We want to keep it that way. I've talked to a lot of people over here. Everybody's pretty much gone. But what I wanted to say, because most of what I have turned into the county was addressed in this new draft. So I'm really pleased about that. I know there's a lot more that can be addressed, but I'm very happy that y'all listen to me. So nobody does that. But I also wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Collins. I think we should all applaud him because he's sat here listening to us and he has taken all of our suggestions and they've applied them to this. I mean, that doesn't happen. I haven't ever seen this happen. Of course, I came from a county that was very much larger than Union County, but I'm very, very, very happy with that. That all being said, the one thing that wasn't addressed, it kind of was, but I really, really, really strongly feel, and I know Randy, who spoke earlier, did too, about closed loop water.
I put that.
It's not mandated though. It says in there
No, I
that.
put the suggestion down that it's just mandated.
Okay, yes, because that's very much, I've been immersed in AI in data centers for the past 2 weeks, nonstop. And that is something that's very expensive. They don't like it. They don't like to have to be mandated to do that. So I think it's really important that we get that in there. Because, we can build more roads, we can make more power lines, but we cannot create water, and water is such an important resource. We all need it. The animals need it. A lot of people talked about the animals, and they're a really important part. The first time I stepped on my porch in Blairsville, when we bought our home here several years ago, there was a 3-legged deer, and she had 2 babies going behind her. She's still here with us. We see her every single day, and she's having more babies this year. We don't want to destroy this area. It's very special. So, that being said, thank you to you for your reading. I appreciated it, although some didn't. And for Mr. Collins, I really appreciate it. I did also send paperwork that if the clerk is here tonight, I would like to get on the official record. You have it. I've sent it to you. I know you've read it. And I appreciate that, but I was told to get it put on the official record. So, is that doable? Is the clerk here? What I can hand it in? My paperwork?
There's really a public hearing is for your comments.
I will hand them to you.
So, you sending communication to the Commissioner's office is automatically a public record.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, wait, I just gave it to you. That has everything in there.
What was your name? Marion Myers. Yep, it's on there.
You got several emails from me.
Yep.
And now, once I go through this new draft, you're gonna get more.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Collins to end this. Everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mercer, for all that. What's left of you, thank y'all for coming tonight.
I'll just leave this train of thought with y'all. 2.5 years from now, when my term ends, whether I decide to run again or run and get beat or somebody else runs, they can change everything on me. This is not permanent after my term. So I just want to leave that train of thought. This is not a political thing or nothing, but I just want you to realize that this is not from now on. You know, as long as I'm in office, this is what we'll have. I thank you all for your comments, for sticking out here, and so at this time I will adjourn the meeting. Thank y'all.